Hello, Milwaukee Bucks fans. Welcome back to Bucks Latest, presented by Fan Arch. I'm your host, Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, turning on post notifications to stay up to date and in the know with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates. The Oklahoma City Thunder are your 2025 NBA champions. They beat the Indiana Pacers in 7 games. Of course, Tyrese Halliburton goes down with that super unfortunate Achilles pop in the first quarter after he was on fire, hitting 3 of 4 threes from, I want to say, an average distance of maybe 39 and a quarter feet, talking to the Oklahoma City crowd in the first quarter, and then, again, it just goes down with that super, super unfortunate injury. So Tyrese Halliburton probably, going forward for the Pacers might be out for the majority of or all of the 2025-26 season, and it puts the Indiana Pacers in a little bit of a bind because they might lose guys like TJ McConnell, a Benedict Mathurin, and Aaron Nesmith. Someone of that nature will probably be out the door because they just can't pay that many guys, that many valuable guys, especially guys now that Mathurin is probably going to be heavily pursued and Nesmith may be heavily pursued going after their incredible finals run. But Alexander Mishkov of Last Word on Sports this morning put out an article that kind of gives it a positive spin, not for any other team, but for the Milwaukee Bucks, who, of course, went down to the Indiana Pacers in the first round in humiliating fashion. And something I will say is that when the Tyrese Halliburton injury happened, I don't think I have ever felt as gutted for a team, for something happening to a team that wasn't mine. That was absolutely awful. But once again, Mishkov from Last Word on Sports puts a positive spin on it for the Bucks going forward, because now with Halliburton out for, again, most of, if not all of next season, the Indiana Pacers are likely taken out of the equation to go back to the finals and try and amend this loss. So it just opens the door even further for the Milwaukee Bucks to compete in what should be a blown completely wide open Eastern Conference. Because now with Jason Tatum and his Achilles injury taking the Celtics out of things, the Knicks may be reeling a little bit. They lost out on Tom Thibodeau. They're really eagerly searching for that head coaching replacement, and who knows if they're going to make roster tweaks. And it seems like the Bucks' biggest competition going into next year in terms of the Eastern Conference playoff picture are the Knicks, maybe an upstart Orlando Magic team, and where else do you really go in terms of finding competition for the Bucks, even with Damian Lillard sidelined for probably most of, if not all, of next season as well. A team led by just Giannis and some filler guys. Like, what if Gary Trent Jr. comes back and he has an incredible year? He averages like 16 or 17 a game. Kevin Porter Jr. has an awesome year. Maybe they bring in a guy like Malcolm Brogdon and he contributes on both ends. If they can surround Giannis with the right pieces, there's no telling how good the Milwaukee Bucks can do. And Mishkov himself states that the Bucks could maybe net a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference with a team led by just Giannis, especially if he places top 3 in MVP voting again, if he makes an 8th consecutive All-NBA first team again. There's a real possibility for the Bucks to get home court advantage in a playoff series with the Eastern Conference shaping up to be the way that it is. So it'll be very interesting to watch. Again, absolutely gutted for the Indiana Pacers, regardless of how they beat the Bucks in the first round. That was just a terrible, terrible situation. But congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Regardless, they are an incredible team. They deserve to win the championship. So, yeah, going forward, the Bucks may have a chance to compete in the Eastern Conference. In other news, in other pretty pertinent news, Pat Connaughton exercised his $9.4 million player option per Shams and other sources. And you would think going into next season that it obviously makes him a trade candidate because, you just get that expiring $9.4 million salary on the books that could be thrown into a trade for a bigger name. And again, this kind of goes into going into next year, being in a position where you could possibly compete in the Eastern Conference. Pat Connaughton's salary could definitely be thrown into a trade to land a big fish and land a partner in the interim for Giannis and going forward if Giannis wants to remain as a Buck for the foreseeable future. And something I could have mentioned in the first point, that with Giannis possibly being able to lead this team to a top 4 seed if he has one of his best seasons ever, it's really not out of the realm of possibility, because he could be thinking that this is his first season back with the Bucks since all of the trade request stuff really hit the fan this past summer. So he could be out trying to prove something. And if the Bucks front office can be as aggressive as they say they're going to be this offseason, maybe they'll include Pat Connaughton in a trade alongside some other contracts, a contract like Kyle Kuzma, to net a really impactful player that is conducive to winning, that could help Giannis Antetokounmpo in the present and the near future. You wonder with certain teams who would be willing to take on that nearly $10 million salary, but there could be a lot of suitors out there either looking to just bring on that salary or facilitate a trade of that nature. Maybe a team like the Hornets or the Nets or someone that's trying to just gain draft capital regardless of first or second round and try and build up. And by taking on a guy like Connaughton, that's if that's how they have to do it, then so be it. So Pat Connaughton now should definitely be viewed as a trade candidate. He certainly was beforehand, but now it seems as though things could really start to get rolling now that he has accepted that player option. And moving forward, Fansided's Dalton Sell said that Cole Anderson of UC Santa Barbara, this elite shooting guard, he may be the next target for the Milwaukee Bucks with the number 47 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. And looking at this guy, I'll be completely honest, I didn't really know as much about him as maybe I should have, or as a guy that's got to be looking at the candidates for the Milwaukee Bucks pick at number 47. But Cole Anderson is one of the most impressive straight-up shooters I have ever seen in college basketball. A career 43.2% three-point percentage, 47.4% on threes in his senior year. Obviously one of the best, if not the best shooter in the nation. And the way that he does it is what's so interesting, because he's also got some pretty good off the dribble ability. He can drive and attack closeouts, but his set shooting ability, his catch and shoot ability, is something like I've never seen. His release is so, oh my gosh, one of the quickest releases I've ever seen. He gets shots off under pressure with no problem. He'll be having plays designed for him running around off-ball screens. He'll catch it, and there will be two guys flying at him because they know that he's a guy that they need to watch out for. They can't let him get an inch of space. And he shoots it, and he looks unfazed with the contest of two guys coming at him. And he looks to be a very impressive prospect. Once again, I think he does have some ball handling capabilities. He has some potential to shine at the next level if the Bucks were to take a chance on him. Maybe they throw him in the G League first to kind of get him used to the situation, used to NBA players and playing against that kind of competition. But he could definitely be that next shooter archetype guy that plays alongside a Giannis Antetokounmpo. And as Sel mentioned, there's always been guys included around Giannis that they've needed, like those straight up shooters, like Kyle Korver, and then like Pat Connaughton for the 2021 run, and then just as of recently, a guy like AJ Green. Cole Anderson can be that next guy, and I think he has the potential to be a lot better than a guy like AJ Green because of his different abilities. And AJ Green, while an amazing shooter, I'm not as confident in his other factors that go along with his offensive game. But Cole Anderson, he just looks like a more polished player, and I would like to see the Bucks maybe take a chance on him with that number 47 overall pick. I don't think it would be a negative or a bad decision. And last but not least, new reports that Jim Owczarski of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reported that Kevin Porter Jr. is expected to opt out of his deal, which we have seen coming. And he might test free agency using the leverage that he created from having a great last 30-game stretch with the Milwaukee Bucks and a pretty solid 5-game stretch against the Pacers in the playoffs. So he may be looking for a bigger salary based on that. But now league sources have also told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that there is mutual interest between Porter and the Bucks to bring him back. And honestly, I'd hope so. He had arguably his most productive stretch in the NBA with the Milwaukee Bucks for that last 30 games, and he was a nice contributor, at least offensively, in the playoffs. He was a great assist-to-turnover guy. He was knocking down threes at a great clip, a career best clip actually for those last 30 regular season appearances. He was just an all-around great offensive piece that could be placed next to Giannis as he's trying to get his feel up for playmaking, operating in the pick and roll, kind of having the game slow down for him. Kevin Porter Jr. could be a big part of this team going forward for next year if they sign him to a multi-year deal. I have a lot of faith in him. I've always really liked his game. It's kind of just managing his on-court issues. Like he has a little bit of a temper, but these are definitely things that could be handled, that could be controlled. But Kevin Porter Jr. is definitely he has been an intriguing talent for his entire career, and this last 30 games of the regular season and that 5-game playoff stretch definitely proved to me, it kind of validated my thoughts on him as a player. And he even got his steals up in the playoffs. I know steals don't necessarily equate to being a great on-ball defender, but he was active on that end of the floor, and that's really what you want in a playoff setting. If you want a guy to contribute to a playoff team, especially for a guy that puts as much of his energy and his emphasis on the offensive end, for him to be as active as he was, I really enjoyed watching him in the postseason. So with KPJ possibly returning, this definitely opens up a lot of things for the Bucks, especially if they grab a guy like a Malcolm Brogdon. Maybe they, instead of having KPJ run the one all the time, they could transition him to just being a straight up scorer. If he were to be paired with a guy like Brogdon, with a guy like Dennis Schroeder in the backcourt. But again, this all remains to be seen because the Bucks have a lot of decisions to make with regard to trades, with regard to free agency. So we'll see what they do there. But anyways, that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Bucks Latest presented by FanArch. I have been Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, and turning on those post notifications to stay up to date and in the know with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Go Bucks.